Dr. Sapna Rakesh, Dr. Lalit Kumar, Shashi Singh and Deepika, and all my young friends. I have a question first from all of you. How many of you are really considering, other than those 30 she mentioned, to start your own? Can somebody raise your hands to give an idea? Oh, I can see there are only 2 hands, 3, 4. Okay. Well, in today's brief presentation, what I am going to tell you is why it is needed for more of you to consider your own enterprise as your life's goal. I'm not talking of career, I'm talking of goal. And I will walk you through that briefly. The topic I was given was 3 words. Previous slide. Innovation, disruption, and survival. These are the 3 words in today's topic. Let us first look at what is a startup. Next slide. So, I think from looking at the number of interested entrepreneurs here, most of you are looking forward to a placement and package. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, the other option which I am proposing for you guys is your own enterprise. Now, tell me, how many of you are still interested in your own enterprise?
See change in 1 sentence. See it.
Okay. So, my whole objective of coming here is to try to show you a path that it can be done. You can do it because I did it 50 years ago. Now, here is a little doha. When I was studying in school, in my Hindi book, there was this doha which I remembered. It says, Uttam kheti madhyam baan, nishit chakri bhik nidan. Those days there was no manufacturing, very little, and it was all imported. So agriculture was our primary economy, and that's why the writer, poet, he said, Kheti is Uttam. In today's scenario, I would say that Kheti or manufacturing should be our primary goal. The second is trading. Vyapar is Madhyam. The third is Chakri. You know what is Chakri? Naukri. And you know where this word Naukri came from? Naukar se. और नौकर किसके? Britishers के जमाने में most of the Indians who were working with the East India Company, they were Britishers नौकर. So that is how when this was written. And the last one of course is भीख मांगना. So now we have to choose amongst these 4 options, what should be your goal? Is it still package and placement? I was just looking at, this word startup. When I started, that word did not exist. We just began something and this is where we are. This has come only recently. So when I was looking at on the internet, they have very clearly differentiated between the two, a startup and a small business. Can somebody tell me, what do you understand between the two? What is the difference? what is a startup and what is a small business or MSME. This is what a startup is. You have an idea and you want to do something about it. So what do? You make a business plan. You go to an angel investor because you need funds. It grows very quickly. We have a lot of models of startup here which have started and they have grown very fast. What do you finally produce? Most of the startups I have observed, they sell their companies. It is the valuation. You have, only day before yesterday, there is one Miss Bose who is designated as a unicorn because her company in Singapore is $1 billion valuation. But do you want to sell your company? If you are passionate about what your idea is, you want to continue with it and see it grow over the years. All this comes with some strings attached. See, you would be constrained to do certain things, you would not be allowed to do certain things because the investor is somebody else, not you. So, it depends on what your life's goal is, but that is what a startup is. The other side of an entrepreneurship scenario is small business, SME. It takes your money, nobody else's. There is no initial capital investment. You have to save your money, plan for it, have your idea, pursue it, and then gradually go to the market. Like Sapnaji mentioned that there are people who are already doing it. And then see how you can grow. The growth will be slow. You won't be able to have a valuation of $1 billion in 1 or 2 or 3 years. It would be very slow. But the cost of operation, because it is your money, you have to control very carefully the cost which you are going to spend, because very soon you will find that the bank balance, you will run out of it and then you will wonder, okay, where do I go from here? This happens. It happened to me also. But you have no boss. You have no boss. You are the boss. You have to decide what I'm going to do tomorrow morning. Be prepared to work for 12 hours per day easily. No Sundays, no Saturdays. There are no holidays when you work with your own money. Finally, that is the question you have to ask yourself. That's the question you have to ask yourself. What do you want out of your life? And you have to very carefully think about it, because whatever you are going to do tomorrow, next year, is dependent on this question. Are you going for a package and placement, or are you going for your own thing? You have to very carefully evaluate and understand. So that is the difference between what I call startup and a small business. Now I'm going to go to the next part of our original topic, which is the innovation. Let us look at some of the innovations which have occurred in last 15-20 years. So I was just looking at it, and the things which came to my mind is, you remember Nokia phone? Everybody had a Nokia phone about 10 years ago, and it had those keypads which used to get stuck, and then you were wondering what to do. And here comes a new phone which is a touch screen, and everything changed. Now Nokia is non-existent practically. So we have Samsung, we have Apple, we have Xiaomi and what all. Now, these are the kind of technological innovations which you think only large companies can do, but it's not so. Even the small companies can do these kind of innovations, come out with ideas and have a very good go at it. The other innovation I consider is very important is the drone. Today, people are using drone, the road which is building around in front of your college, its performance is measured by a drone every day. Because somebody sitting in Delhi or wherever, they are able to understand what's going on. Earlier it used to be a written report which is not, you cannot figure out the truth. So now Amazon is planning to deliver packages with a drone. Drone is being used by Israel for very highly, in those kind of situations where human beings cannot go, they would send a drone in, take pictures. On the terrorism, drone has a very big role. Digital memory storage. When I started in 1986, I had my first PC. It used to have a 5¼ inch floppy which was 360 kilobyte. And now you see in my phone, I have a 64 GB small chip of this size. How this has happened? It is constant evolution of technology and there are people working at it. That is how it can happen. So basically what I am trying to explain to you is, you have to see what you can do about it. It's nice to know that yes, people have done from here to here, but what is my role in the whole thing and what can I do? This is what something we have to get excited about. Of course, e-commerce, everybody knows that this is again a disruptive process which has occurred in the last 10-15 years. Innovation. Let's talk about innovation. How many of you know Sony? Everybody knows. He is Mr. Akio Morita, and I would want every one of you to read his biography. Because I read it just in the beginning when I was about to start up my things, and how he started. But his main focus was on curiosity and innovation. If you want to be creative, you have to be curious about what's going on around you. That's the only way you can do it. There are many other startups which you should read about. Hewlett Packard is another one I have read about them. How they started in a little shack and then imagine where they are today. So like that, there are many others who started small, but then they gradually grew. Basically, innovation is a mindset. And you have to inculcate it, you have to develop it. I was just talking to Madam Rakesh that right from the beginning in our family, in our school, we are told to read the book and write an exam. We are not told to ask questions. This is something which we have to start from the beginning, from the childhood, that you have to have a curious approach to life, why something is happening, how it works. If you ask those questions, you will be able to be creative. You have to be willing to try something different. That's what happened in case of keypad versus touch screen. And today you find that touch screen is used in all the space application, wherever. It's a large use for that device. Better alternatives. And you have to keep finding solutions to a problem. Now I'll just briefly go over what we do. In 1980, we started making what is called silver-plated copper wire. It is something like my hair. It's a copper wire with silver plating on it. And when I started, okay, we want to make silver plated wire because at that time it was being imported. So we took some bread boxes and baby bathtubs, put together a machine to set up a plating process. We were able to plate silver on copper wire. Then we had to draw it to fine sizes, and you can see this wires reel here. Now, to draw this kind of fine sizes, we didn't know how to do it. But then it struck, okay, we have a lot of jerry making in Banaras, and let's see how they do it. So I went to Banaras, saw how they are drawing this wire. For 6,000 rupees, I bought a machine from them, brought it to Ghaziabad. But most of the jerry, they have no control on the amount of silver they will plate. They have no requirement of a long continuous length. That's where we evolved the technology to use that machine for making silver plated wire. And after about 15 years, when we had started exporting these wires, the managing director of a large cable company from Sweden, he came over to our factory and he said, Mr. Mittal, I can't imagine how you are doing it. Because it's not the way it is done all over the world. But for our kind of application, we have people who can do it. So that is the jerry making machine. Of course, it is a lot more modified than what I bought for 6,000 rupees. But that is a jerry making machine which is now being used for making silver plated wires, which incidentally go into Mangalyaan. Some of these wires, they are going into aircraft, space research, everywhere it is going there. This is another machine which, now whatever equipment you see here is not bought from anywhere. It is all made by us in our own shop. This is for making a multi-strand wire. That single wire you have to have 7 or 19 strands before you would insulate it. So this machine is again a design which is not, in fact, about 15 years ago there was a exhibition in, they wanted to have some kind of an exhibition in Germany, a permanent place where all the wire processing equipment from the world would be just kept there. And that gentleman wanted to take one of these machines and put it in that exhibition. This is another machine. When I wrote my thing, I said, similar machine, if you import at that time, it was almost $100,000. It was very fast. You could produce a lot of wire on it, but it cost a fortune. We said, no, we don't want to spend that kind of money. So we made this machine, which cost us about 80,000 rupees. And it is still working for last 20 years. I mean, we have lots of them now. The useful part is that if you keep your cost low, the initial capital investment, it was your money, you kept the investment low. Today, if you don't have order and this is sitting, I have something like 10 extra machines all the time. So whenever there is a demand, I can put all of them into service. But if they are sitting, I don't have an interest charge on my borrowing because there is no interest charge because the cost is very low. So this is a feature in our working. If you keep your investment low, you don't have to look at the interest bill every quarter, which is what we do. In fact, we don't borrow any money from the bank. Finally, this is my last slide for you. I always say, in the beginning I asked you the question, what do you want out of your life? This is what I want you to do. Have fun and make money. That's what I believe. Thank you very much.